And hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's executive event in this fine sunny morning, depending on where you are right enough. My name is Steve. I am going to be your host for today. Now, if you have any questions, just some housekeeping to get us started. If you have any questions, do please drop them in the chat, and I'll get to them as we progress through today's call. Now, today's event is titled Modernizing Risk, Governance and Compliance, Smarter Systems for Smarter Decisions. We're going to be looking at how organizations are moving beyond outdated tools to centralized platforms that can simplify compliance, manage your risk, and build resilience within the organization. Now, I'm very pleased to introduce our speaker, Pete Gerfasoni, Chief Risk Officer at Skefto Innovations. Now, Pete has 20 plus years in senior risk and resilience roles. Now, Pete is a nominated ISO expert. He led the global project on organizational resilience standards and is deputy chair of the Institute of Strategic Risk Management. And as for Skefto unites governance, risk, compliance, strategy in one platform, helping companies manage risk, monitor safety, and deliver plans faster and obviously at scale. Now, please join me in welcoming Pete.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Great to be here and part of our webinar today. Really looking forward to the conversation about how technology can support you in improving the way that you're managing your governance, risk, compliance, and strategy implementation across your respective organizations.
Yeah, nice. Now let's kick things off with something just to ease you in here, Pete. What are the impacts of the top 10 sort of global risks over the next 2 to 10 years on Australian industries?
Yeah, Steve, it's really interesting. The key findings of the World Economic Forum's 2025 Global Risk Report, it really does show a bit of a gloomy short-term outlook, with a majority of organizations expecting unsettled or turbulent times over the next 2 years. And that's really due to those geopolitical hazards, particularly state-based conflict that we're seeing in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe. And misinformation and disinformation are probably the top immediate and short-term concerns. Looking longer term to the next 10 years, environmental threats like extreme weather events, biodiversity loss, and critical changes to Earth's systems dominate the landscape, along with rising concerns about the adverse outcomes of artificial intelligence technologies. The report itself focuses on the complexity and urgency of these interconnected risks and calls for a strengthened global cooperation and dialogue to enhance resilience and navigate these challenges ahead. These global risks, they really do pose a significant threat to Australian industries. Risks like state-based armed conflict and geo-economic confrontation can lead to supply chain vulnerability and trade disruptions, and that can have a direct impact on industries that are reliant on these global markets. Over the longer term, though, I feel that Australia faces major challenges from those environmental risks that I mentioned, such as those extreme weather events and biodiversity loss, which could absolutely devastate agricultural productivity, infrastructure, and have a direct impact on our insurance markets as well. So these interconnected risks mean that a disruption in one area, for example, a climate event, can have a cascading effect on supply chains and financial sustainability across the nation. The key for Australian industries is to proactively enhance resilience, developing an organisational resilience policy and strategy that aligns with this new Australian and international standard ISO 22336, and moving beyond reactive measures to proactive risk management. Skefto's platforms can really support this by providing a framework aligned with standards like ISO 31000 for risk management and a whole bunch of other standards for health and safety, compliance, and business continuity. And organizations can use our platform to conduct those comprehensive risk assessments that map out the potential consequences of those global risks on their specific operations. They can develop and contract controls and treatment plans directly within the system, ensuring they have a documented, consistent strategy for managing risk and enhancing their resilience.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, we'll swing back on some of that later. So a lot of companies are still relying on uh, spreadsheets and manual systems and processes. What are some of the hidden risks by doing so?
Yeah, look, I think that relying heavily on spreadsheets and manual systems really does introduce a number of significant hidden threats to an organization. These systems are inherently susceptible to human error, which can lead to inaccuracies in data and reporting. And I think that really undermines the integrity of decisions that are being made based on that information. I think the other area is really a lack of an integrated audit trail in spreadsheets also makes it nearly impossible to track changes, which can be a major issue, particularly for those heavily regulated organizations
Mm,
when they are trying to demonstrate compliance. So these manual systems often create some security vulnerabilities as access to sensitive data is difficult to control and track. And this fragmented and insecure approach leads to operational inefficiencies,
yeah.
poor decision making, of course, and an increased exposure to compliance and data security breaches.
Mm,
Again, Skefto solutions provide organizations with a secure, centralized system that eliminates these threats. And it does that by consolidating all of the data and they ensure a single source of truth, which is really important. And it reduces that chance of human error. Our solutions also feature a comprehensive audit trail and role-based access controls to enhance that security and accountability, making it a lot easier, particularly again for those regulated organizations to demonstrate due diligence and, of course, their compliance as well.
yeah. Okay. No, nice, nice. So what does real-time governance actually look like in practice then? I mean, and and what benefits does it bring to a leadership team?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think when we talk about real-time governance, it really moves us away from retrospective reporting to a
Mm,
dynamic, continuous process. So, I guess in practice, what this means is that leaders have a live, integrated dashboard that provides a holistic view of your governance, risk, and compliance status. And this dashboard would immediately show critical information, such as the status of key compliance obligations, risks, controls, and their effectiveness, and even recently reported safety incidents. And what this allows leadership teams is to shift from a reactive to a proactive mindset. So instead of waiting for that monthly report to discover a problem, they can be alerted to an issue as it arises in real time, which enables them to intervene before it escalates and make better informed decisions. The transparency and clear ownership of tasks provided by this approach also greatly enhances accountability and empowers leaders to make faster, data driven decisions. Skefto again enables this by offering customizable dashboards that provide those real time insights into your risk and compliance environment, even into your strategy, safety, and incident environments as well. We have these automated alerts and notifications that ensures leaders are immediately
mm.
aware of those critical issues, allowing for proactive management and a more agile response in their decision making as well.
Yeah. Okay. Look, some good points there. Look, so for leaders that feel um, like I've got to upgrade my systems. It's going to be too complex. It's going to be too time consuming. What are some of the simple first steps that they can take?
Yeah, look, it can be somewhat overwhelming to think about having to update or upgrade our whole systems.
Yeah.
And so I really recommend a strategic low risk approach is best. And I guess the most effective first step is to focus on a single high impact area that is your current pain point. So, and that could be because you're using a lot of manual processes. So, for example, instead of a complete overhaul, an organization could start with by digitizing just their incident management or audit process. And this creates a quick win and demonstrates the value of technology and builds internal support for a wider rollout. Conducting a simple data audit to identify where critical information is scattered across the organization is another easy first step that highlights the need for a single solution as well. Skefto's motto of a single platform with unlimited solutions is just that. It
Mm,
allows organizations to start with a single solution, such as risk management or incident management, and expand as their needs and their comfort levels grow. This phased approach reduces complexity and time commitment, making the transition to a modern system much more manageable. And I guess one of the real strengths of Skefto is that it will grow as your organization matures in the governance, risk, and compliance space. And importantly, it can be customized for you. So rather than having to change your approach in those areas to meet the limitations of the system, Skefto can be fully customized to meet your needs and your requirements that you want from a GRC software solution.
yeah. So, how can modern governance platforms or Skefto or broadly speaking support a culture of continuous improvement rather than just helping companies, tick compliance boxes?
Yeah, I think it essentially this is achieved by transforming compliance from a static checklist to a dynamic learning process. So
Mm,
really going beyond simple recording of an incident or finding, for example, a centralized incident data. A platform allows for a deeper analysis of trends and root causes. So we can really deep dive into the data that we've actually captured. So this data-driven insight helps you understand why things are going wrong and what changes are needed to prevent future issues. Our platform, I guess, automates review cycles for policies and procedures, review cycles for controls and their effectiveness. It automates the reviews of any risks that are captured within the system and any treatment plans as well. And also from a safety and incident perspective, is that you can really gain some good data and insights to ensure that you are continuously updating these based on operational data and importantly, those lessons learned. And this creates a feedback loop where insights inform better practices and is really driving a culture of ongoing enhancement.
yeah, nice, 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 nice. So how do you, any advice? Do you have any advice for organizations that are trying to balance compliant obligations with resource constraints?
Yeah, look, really, organizations need to work smarter and prioritize more effectively. The first piece of advice is to use a risk-based approach to identify and focus on the most critical compliance obligations, those that carry the highest potential impacts from a financial point of view or from your reputation and brand perspective.
Mm,
Secondly, I think to automate routine and repetitive tasks is really, really important. Many compliance activities, such as document reviews, reporting, follow ups, are real administrative burdens that can be streamlined with the use of good technology. This absolutely frees up staff to focus on more complex and strategic compliance matters. And finally, I think the last piece of the puzzle here is to foster a culture where culture is a shared responsibility, empowering all employees with the tools they need to play their part.
mm.
Our compliance solution really helps organizations balance these demands by automating a lot of that compliance workflow and providing a centralized calendar of obligations that will roll over depending on the schedule that's been set. And this really reduces that administrative burden and helps teams to prioritize critical tasks, ensuring that compliance is managed efficiently and effectively with the existing resources that the organization has.
Yeah, okay. So just to add to that, so the technology standpoint and capabilities of platforms, so how can obviously technology help companies
Yeah, look,
not only meet today's standards, but obviously stay ahead of any evolving sort of regulatory expectations that is needed.
yeah, Steve, absolutely. I think technology can be a real powerful tool for future-proofing an organization against evolving regulatory expectations by
Mm,
providing agility and foresight. I think that's really important, is that we want to ensure that we have a system or technology that is agile and allows us to look forward and try to predict some future outcomes that might impact us. A modern governance platform really acts as a centralized system for all of your policies, procedures, and importantly, from the risk side of things, to monitor and manage your controls. When a new regulation is introduced, this
Yeah.
single source of truth makes it easy to map out the required changes and communicate them to the relevant teams that may be impacted. And so, really, I think this is where Skefto, that single platform approach, supports this by providing a flexible solution to manage your governance information. The system's ability to centralize and link policies and controls makes it easy to adapt to new regulations and ensures that your organization is always prepared for future compliance demands. And we're seeing that more and more often in for Australian highly regulated organisations is that we're seeing big changes in the aged care space. We saw huge announcements around NDIS changes yesterday by the federal government. So
Yeah.
really ensuring that we're keeping up to date with those changes, but we actually have the technology to support us so we can adapt really quickly when those changes and those uncertainties are introduced.
Yeah, nice, nice. Yeah, there is a fair bit in the news in the last couple of days. So, for executives in highly regulated sectors, well, outside of aged care, so what sort of broader lessons or principles from today's discussion, for example, can they take back to their own sort of governance efforts?
Yeah, look, I think that the core principles of good governance are universal and they can sit across any industry or any sector. For
Mm,
executives in those highly regulated industries, the key takeaway is to move from fragmented reactive governance to a real integrative, proactive approach. And this involves, I guess, three core principles. The first is to establish a single source of truth for all governance related data to eliminate those silos and improve visibility. The second is to empower your teams with the right technology to automate those routine tasks, allowing them to focus on the high impact strategic work that they need to deliver. And then finally, it all comes back to building a culture of accountability by clearly defining ownership and responsibility for all of your risks, your controls, your compliance obligations, your delivery of your strategies and plans, those that have to manage incidents, business continuity, and or safety. Embracing these principles transforms governance from a heavy obligation into a strategic asset that will really drive the enhancement of your resilience and improve performance. And so Skefto offers a real versatile solution that can be tailored to various regulated sectors. The principles of a single source of truth, automated workflows, and clear accountability are absolutely embedded in all of our solutions, making them highly effective for any executive looking to enhance their governance efforts.
okay, so I'm just going to add to that. I think we've got time for one more question. So I'm just going to add to that in terms of your. So you've got a lot of platforms. So how can your centralized platforms like Care Cloud, Gov Cloud, and Council Cloud by Skefto help improve that visibility and accountability for risk safety compliance management?
Look, I think those three sort of core platforms, Care Cloud's been specifically developed for aged care, for the disability sector, and for our health clients. Our Gov Cloud is specifically designed for our state and federal government partners, and Council Cloud, because local government being a very has a very niche role in I guess, government across Australia. We've developed a tailored and specific solution for council. So Council Cloud is really designed at that local government level. What these do is they improve visibility by bringing all of your risk, safety, compliance, integrated planning, and all of your obligations data into a single centralized dashboard. So this replaces the fragmented systems with a holistic, real-time view of your organization's health. And that real time is absolutely critical. So rather than we're looking back at, I guess, historic information, we're getting that information in real time. Accountability is enhanced through our platform's workflow and ownership features. And our solution clearly assigns responsibilities for risks, incidents, compliance tasks, any strategy plans that need to be delivered. They can be assigned to specific individuals. And with our automated notifications and detailed audit trail, there's no uncertainty about who is accountable for what. And this unified approach not only makes it easier for leaders to oversee operations, but also empowers individual team members to take ownership of their own responsibilities. And that's essentially the key thing that we want to achieve from our any technology platform is about driving ownership and accountability across the organization.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, just to reflect back on today, I mean, this topic is just so important, Pete. Risk governance compliance. It used to be treated as a sort of tick box exercises, something that you did kind of at the end of the month, at the end of the year. But the reality is obviously, and it's pretty clear that in today's environment, risks are emerging all the time in real time. There's cyber threats, there's regulatory changes, supply chain disruptions, even workplace safety issues, etc. So, absolutely imperative that organizations have got a modern platform, or it's going to be costly to the business. So we want to thank everybody today for joining us, and obviously, Pete, I want to thank you for your time today for taking us through that. We'll be reaching out to everyone post event just to gather your thoughts on today's subject. And obviously, if you're looking to have a chat with Pete, we can tee that up. And obviously, Pete's here to make compliance easier, I'd say, and also strengthen your resilience and give you confidence back in your decision making in relation to obviously governance, compliance, and risk, etc. So again, thank you everyone, and Pete, again, thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Take